What if I told you that the girl you're supposed to marry won't let you forget her? Even when you try, even when you're with someone else, even when years pass and logic says you should move on. For 13 years, one woman's memory stayed impossibly fresh in my mind. While everything else faded, classes I attended, friends I hung out with, even details of other relationships, she remained crystal clear. Like she was frozen in time, waiting. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was just being nostalgic, but I wasn't. This is the story of how I left the priesthood for love, lost that love twice, betrayed two good women in the process, and spent over a decade making every wrong choice possible, only to discover that some connections transcend time itself. By the 35th minute mark of this story, you'll understand why her memory never faded. You'll see the pattern I couldn't see, and you'll know whether you have unfinished business of your own. But here's the thing, if you leave before minute 35, you'll miss the moment everything clicks. The moment the fresh memory phenomenon makes sense. So I'm asking you, give me 35 minutes. Just 35. And if you're not hooked by then, you can walk away. But I don't think you will. Because this isn't just my story. It's the story of everyone who's ever wondered, what if? Let's begin. They say love finds you when you're not looking. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes love finds you, loses you, haunts you, breaks you, and finds you again. This is the story of 13 years, 4 women, and one truth I was too blind to see until it was almost too late. My name is, well, that doesn't matter right now. What matters is the journey. Because every man who's ever loved and lost will tell you the same thing. The path to finding your person is rarely a straight line. Mine was a maze. A beautiful, painful, confusing maze that took me through seminary halls, university campuses, heartbreaks, betrayals, and eventually, home. But before there were women, there was God. Or at least, I thought there was supposed to be. I was 10 years old when my parents sent me to the seminary. St. Augustine's Minor Seminary. A place where boys became men of God, where silence was sacred and desire was sin, where the world outside those iron gates felt like another universe entirely. I remember the day they dropped me off. My mother cried. My father stood tall, proud that his son had been chosen for something greater. You're special, he told me. Not every boy gets this opportunity. You're going to serve God. And I believed him. Because when you're 10 years old and everyone around you is telling you you're chosen, you don't question it. You wear it like armor. You let it define you. For 7 years, I wore the uniform. Black trousers, white shirt, that distinctive seminary badge that marked us as different from other boys our age. For 7 years, I recited the prayers. Morning prayers at 5:30 a.m. Whether it was raining or the harmattan wind was cutting through our thin blankets. Afternoon prayers before lessons, evening prayers before bed. The rosary, the liturgy of the hours, the Latin masses that we memorized phonetically even when we didn't fully understand the words. I studied the scriptures. The Old Testament with its wrathful God and impossible commandments. The New Testament with its gentle Jesus who seemed so much more forgiving than the priests who taught us. The lives of saints who gave up everything, family, wealth, pleasure, for their faith. I convinced myself that the priesthood was my destiny, that I was chosen, special, set apart from ordinary men who would marry, have children, live normal lives. I told myself I wanted something higher, something purer. But late at night, when the dormitory was quiet except for the sounds of 40 boys breathing in their sleep, when the older boys whispered about girls they'd left behind in their villages, girls with names like Lizzie and Naomi, I felt it. That gnawing question, that terrifying doubt that I pushed down into the pit of my stomach where it couldn't reach my conscious mind. What if this isn't my calling? What if I'm not meant to be untouched by the world? The doubt started small, a fleeting thought during morning prayers. A moment of hesitation when we were told that even thinking about a woman with desire was a sin. But doubts have a way of growing, especially when you're 16, 17, and your body is screaming things your mind is trying desperately to ignore. I watched my classmates. Some of them had this certainty, this light in their eyes that told you they were truly called. They spoke about their future priesthood the way other boys spoke about football or music, with passion, with conviction, with joy. I didn't have that light. I had discipline. I had obedience. I had fear of disappointing my parents, my teachers, God Himself. But I didn't have joy, not about this. And so, when I was 17 in, my final year before we would move on to the major seminary, where the real commitment began, I made a decision that felt like betrayal and liberation all at once. I left, not in rebellion, not in anger. There was no dramatic scene where I threw off my uniform and ran through the gates. It was quieter than that, more honest than that. I went to the rector's office. Father Benedict, a man who had known me since I was 10 years old. I sat across from his desk, my hands shaking slightly, and I said the words I'd been rehearsing for months. Father, I don't think this is my calling. I don't think I'm meant to be a priest. He looked at me for a long time, not with anger, but with something that looked like disappointment mixed with understanding. Are you sure? He asked. This doubt you're feeling, it's normal. Every seminarian goes through it. The devil tests us when we're close to committing our lives to God. But I knew it wasn't the devil. It was me, my own voice, finally loud enough to hear. I'm sure, Father. My parents were devastated. My mother cried again, but this time not with pride. My father couldn't look at me for days. The extended family whispered, he was supposed to be a priest. What happened? Did he do something wrong? Did he fail? The priest told me I was making a mistake, that I would regret it, that the world outside would corrupt me and I would wish I had stayed in the safety of the church. But for the first time in 7 years, I could breathe. I had traded in my cassock for uncertainty, and it felt like freedom. Terrifying, exhilarating freedom. I applied to university. I chose pharmacy, maybe because healing people felt close enough to God without the vows, or maybe because I had no idea what else to do with my life, and pharmacy sounded respectable enough to appease my disappointed parents. I was accepted, and 6 months after walking out of the seminary gates, I walked through the gates of the university. A different person, or rather, the same person, finally allowed to discover who he actually was. University was like landing on another planet. After 7 years in the seminary, where even eye contact with the opposite sex was monitored, where we were taught that women were either saints to be revered or temptations to be avoided, I was suddenly surrounded by girls, real girls, not the saints in the stained glass windows, not the Virgin Mary in paintings, real, laughing, talking, existing in the same space as me girls. And I had absolutely no idea how to act around them. My roommate found it hilarious. Guy, you act like you've never seen a woman before, he said one day, watching me practically freeze when a girl asked to borrow my pen in class. I haven't, I wanted to say. Not like this. Not as a normal person who's allowed to notice them. Everything was new. The freedom to choose when to wake up, what to wear, where to go. No morning prayers at 5:30. No uniforms. No rules about where you could walk or who you could talk to. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. I threw myself into my studies: pharmacology, organic chemistry, anatomy, the human body in all its complexity. I loved it, the precision of it, the way everything had a reason, a function, a purpose. It was orderly, like the seminary, but without the guilt. I made friends. Other freshmen like me, trying to figure out this new world. We'd stay up late in the dormitory, talking about everything: football, music, politics, girls, especially girls. They would talk about girls they were dating, girls they wanted to date, their strategies and successes and failures. I mostly listened, because what was I going to contribute? Yeah, guys, I know what you mean. Just last week, I successfully made eye contact with a girl for 3 whole seconds before looking away in panic. But I was learning, watching, slowly figuring out how to be a normal 18-year-old guy instead of a seminary boy. And then, 3 weeks into my first semester, I saw her. Her name was MJ. I was walking across the campus courtyard, the big open space between the science building and the cafeteria where everyone hung out between classes. It was one of those perfect Nigerian afternoons where the sun wasn't too hot yet and there was a slight breeze that made you want to be outside. She was sitting on one of the benches with 2 other girls, all of them in their white lab coats, which meant they'd just come from a practical session. She was laughing at something one of her friends said, and when she laughed, her whole face lit up. Not a polite laugh, a real one. The kind that made you want to know what was so funny. And I just stopped, right there in the middle of the courtyard. Stopped walking, stopped thinking, just stood there staring like an idiot. My friend Michael walked into me from behind. "Guy, what's your problem? Why did you—" He followed my gaze. "Oh, now, I see. That's MJ. 2nd year. Forget it, man. She's out of your league." But I couldn't forget it, because looking at her, I felt something I'd spent 7 years being told was dangerous: desire. Not the sinful kind the priests warned us about, the kind that leads to hellfire and damnation, but the human kind, the innocent kind, the kind that makes you want to know someone's story, to hear their laugh up close, to be the reason for that smile. I asked around about her. Casually, of course. "Hey, who's that girl? The one with the—" I wasn't even smooth enough to finish the sentence properly, but my friends knew who I meant. MJ. She's in 2nd year pharmacy. Smart. Really smart. Pretty. Nice to everyone. Good luck, though. Every guy on campus has tried. That should have discouraged me, but it didn't. Because I wasn't every guy on campus. I was the guy who had just spent 7 years preparing for priesthood. I had discipline. I had patience. I had absolutely no game. But what I lacked in experience, I could make up for in, I don't know, sincerity. For 2 weeks, I watched her. Not in a creepy way, at least. I hope it wasn't creepy. I just observed. I learned her schedule. She had pharmacology on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. She always sat in the 3rd row. She studied in the library most afternoons. She ate lunch at the cafeteria around 1 p.m., usually at the table near the windows. I practiced what I would say in the mirror, out loud. My roommate Nelson walked in on me once, and I had to pretend I was rehearsing for a presentation. "Hi, MJ. I'm..." Too formal. "Hey, so I've seen you around and..." Too stalkerish. "You're in pharmacy, right?" "Me too. Maybe we could." Too vague. I was overthinking everything, which, to be fair, was my default state. And then one Tuesday afternoon, in the university cafeteria, with my heart hammering so hard I thought everyone around me could hear it,